Okay, we are back at the Gen Con 2015 at the Privateer Press booth, and we're going to talk about the Undercity, an Iron Kingdoms adventure game with the designer Will Schoonover. Will, thank you.
Hi. So this is Privateer Press's brand new board game. It's releasing in a couple of weeks. We're pre-selling it, of course, at the show. It's called the Undercity, and it is an Iron Kingdoms adventure board game. So this is the first time we've done a board game for the Iron Kingdoms, and it's an adventure board game because you play a small mercenary company that's working with the Corvus City Watch as they investigate some nefarious dealings in the Undercity. So you're going to play as one of the heroes. There are 4 heroes in the game. We've got Gardeck Stonebrow, who's a Trollkin warrior. We've got Pog and Doorstop, who are a Jack Marshall mechanic and a steamjack. We've got Milo Boggs, who's a combat alchemist, and Canis Gormley is our gun mage. So we try to hit all of the important parts of the Iron Kingdoms for this game, so it's a really good intro to the setting for new players, and it scratches all those itches of existing players. It uses a 2d6 system, much like War Machine, Hordes, and the Iron Kingdoms role-playing game, so you can use it as an introductory product to get your friends interested in the other games in the line. And it's also really easy to pick up if you've ever played any of our other games. Every character, every hero, starts out with a character sheet and a feat deck, and then it's got a campaign system that has persistent character growth. So as you play the campaign, your party gets experience, which you share at the end of every chapter, and then you get new abilities that add to your character throughout the entire campaign, making you better and better as the villains get a little bit more and more difficult to beat. The game is fully cooperative. You play as the 4 heroes versus the board. The board controls the villains by villain action cards and villain stat cards that provide their tactics. So when a villain activates, he follows his tactics from left to right until one of them is possible, and then that's what he does. And the villain action card you draw tells you which villains act during that turn. So villains are going to do something at the end of every player turn, but you're never exactly sure which villains, because they can activate based on color. That's why they're red and blue villains. They can activate based on proximity to where you or another player are, or they can activate based on their name. A card might activate all the thugs, or all the crossbow thugs, or all the gobber rogues. There's also side quest cards in the game, so along with the main plot that covers the 7 chapters, side quests can provide random loot or subplots or even encounters, which are extra bad guys tossed into the mix that are kind of unpredictable.
Alright, so you can play over a series of scenarios in a campaign.
Yes.
And level up your characters. And you said earlier when we were talking, it has sort of like a video game style feel to it.
Yes, it's very hack and slashy. The thugs, these crossbow guys and sword thugs on the board, they're very squishy. They have 1 hit point, and they don't usually do a lot of damage unless they gang up on you. So you're going to be wading through some of the mook villains as you go, but then every once in a while more important villains will show up that have more hit points and are a little bit sturdier and more difficult to deal with. And then we have a couple of scenarios that are boss fights along the way.
Okay. And you also mentioned that it's possible to maybe use the RPG sort of as an enhancement to this?
So this game has no traditional line of sight system. It's an abstracted system using these big spaces, but we put the little marks on the side of the bases of all the figures, just like in the Unleashed Adventure Kit, so that this stuff is completely compatible in every way with our RPGs. So if you are interested in getting your friends to play either the Iron Kingdoms RPG or the Unleashed RPG, and they're not quite there yet, they're on the fence, you can introduce this setting to them with this, and then even use this as components in those RPG games you play.
So here we can see Chapter 3, and Will's going to tell us a little bit about more depth on this particular scenario.
So like I said, there is a couple of boss fights throughout the campaign. This one right here is a chase. The heroes start on this star, and these 2 villains are going to run all the way through the entire map to try to get to this door. But there's a door in the middle of the map that you can open and cut them off. You can either bash it down, or you can send someone through this crack to flip a switch that will then open that door. So we have different objectives and gameplay twists in every scenario. In one of the scenarios, you're trying to close some doors so that you can get a very important character to come out of another door so you can escort him across the map.
Okay.
In another one of the later missions, the bad guys are escorting their victims to their lair, and you can intercept and try to rescue those victims.
Okay.
So we set out to do 7 distinct scenarios that gave you options and interesting ways to play. And there's even rules in here that say if you want to play one of the scenarios independent of the campaign, here's how you build your character experience point wise, as if you had played all the previous chapters anyway. So you can, once you finish the campaign, if you want to try scenarios again without playing the entire thing, you can just say, tonight let's try 3 again, and we'll build our characters with this many experience points, and we'll play the game.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. Appreciate it.
Thanks.